everyone, it's Simon from Higher Plane Games with a review for Nogalious, a PC retro adventure platformer game that would look right at home on your Sega Master System. Thank you for the developer for sending me across a copy to take a look at. However, I'm going to try and be as constructive as I can, because I have to say, honestly and up front, I did not enjoy much of my time with Nogalious at all. For me, and this is a problem now with indies having flooded their own market, is that when you do a retro-inspired adventure, of which there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands probably out there now, you need to be able to stand out from the crowd, and what Nogalious tries to trade off of is being awkward and difficult. But in order to do that, you need to have the fun side of the game there as well, and I didn't find any fun with Nogalious at all. Instead, I found it quite a chore to play. The game has a difficulty wave instead of a difficulty curve, so level 1-1 might be exceptionally difficult, and then 1-2 exceptionally easy. 1-3 could still be easy, and then 1-4 horrible, 1-5 like a run through and you're done in 5 seconds. And I found that quite difficult to understand. The other thing is that the game really doesn't signal what is a platform and what isn't a platform, and this is what comes into the whole fun aspect of things, is that Nogalious puts out a rule and then doesn't actually keep to that rule, and therefore feels unfair. So quite a lot of the platforms have moss on them, and those are the ones that you can stay on, but it doesn't necessarily tell you that off the bat. You learn through experience and through dying, which is fine, but then in future levels you might land on what you think is moss, but you will just fall through and die. And then you might land on a stick, but the stick wasn't something that you could land on because you was told, and you get into your mind intuitively, that brown ledges are things that you fall through, and now all of a sudden you're standing on them. So you're kind of having to learn each level as you go through and decide what the rules are this time round. And that extends to the enemies as well. So there are birds that come around that will chomp off vines that you're going for, which is actually, I thought, a really quite cool idea. But in later levels, some of those birds will kill you when you hit them, but they haven't up until the time that they do. And then they stop doing afterwards, and you kind of think, well, why have the rules changed here? And it just doesn't feel fun, because you just think, right, well, what the hell am I supposed to do this time? The other thing as well is that I struggled with the control scheme. So the controls are there's a tiny bit of lag, but it's not terrible. But playing with the Xbox 360 controller, it did not understand an analog stick at all. So trying to move left and right, you would get stuck trying to move forward, and it would kind of do like this little epileptic jiggle back and forth, and I was like, okay. So I then had to resort to the D-pad, which is fine because that kind of works for these types of games, but I just found it quite awkward and annoying. I also found that when you're going back through into new areas and new environments, and you're doing new things for the first time, it never actually gives you a signal that this is now something that you can do and that you can now do it from now on. So like moving objects and blocks around, all of a sudden you're moving gravestones around at the beginning of the second world, yet there is no clue that you could ever move it because you've just walked through one. So it kind of feels really awkward. And it's this whole trade-off of, I'm being awkward because I know that I can, and hey, isn't this fun? Well, personally for me, it wasn't. It was an absolute chore. And that comes when it comes to the boss encounters as well, that sometimes the boss didn't even bother to hit me. Other times it was spamming enemies at me quicker than I could actually hit, so I would die. Your character is exceptionally weak as well. One hit kills for everything, which is fine, but when you die because a drop of water fell from the sky, but you have to go through the hit point of that water to actually get a jump through. And quite often that isn't controlled by you because there's a bird busy chomping on vines underneath that will chop you off. It felt a little bit more luck-based than it really should be. The game is relatively short, but because of the complexity and the way how it makes itself run, you'll probably get a couple of hours out of it before it comes to an end. This did actually go for a Kickstarter and was funded. So clearly there's quite a lot of interest in this game for it to have got funded. I just have to say that the game just did not tick any buttons for me at all. That doesn't mean that it might not suit you though, so if you like what you've seen on the gameplay, know that you need to play on the D-pad and understand that the game is going to change its rules on you constantly to be frustrating, my words, challenge maybe someone else, then Nogalious might be for you. So thanks for watching, I hope that was informative, and take care. This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.